Okay, so this tutorial is to show you how to start your mood board. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and open Photoshop here and set up a new document. So this is Photoshop. I'm gonna click new file. Try not to use the preset default settings for your document. Come over here and make sure your measurements are in inches. You can choose portrait or landscape orientation, and I would suggest that your page size be 8.5 by 11. Resolution needs to be 300 pixels per inch, which is high resolution. And we're working in RGB color, and you need to make sure you have a transparent background. So I'm going to go ahead and click create. Again, I'm working in landscape orientation. Okay, so here's my document. The checkerboard means that the background is transparent. If you uncollapse this box here, you can see your history in case you need to go back. Down here on the right are your layers. So everything that I add to this document should pop up over here so I can manipulate. And the first thing I want to do is bring in my inspiration image. So in Google, I went ahead and searched. I like the Gwen Stefani Met Gala look. So I went ahead and found a picture. If you want to, it depends on where you find your image. So sometimes these are links and you will have to actually take a picture, like a screenshot of the image, which I'm going to go ahead and do. Other times you can just kind of drag the image to your desktop and then upload it. So what I'm going to do here is take a screenshot. On a PC, there's a tool called the snipping tool. The icon is just a pair of scissors. So you can also do this on a PC. So I'm going to do a capture here as a screenshot and then just block off the area that I want. I'm going to go ahead and click capture. It has taken a snapshot down there. So I'm going to go ahead and do file on my Photoshop document. And I'm going to place embedded. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and look for my image, which is here, and place. Okay, so at this point, the image is placed, and what you're going to need to do is just hit enter. Okay, and now I want to go in and edit. So I do want to get rid of the background, so I'll show you how to cut the image out. You could also do a tiled mood board where you just place a bunch of rectangular and square images on your page, which is also fine. So I think I will do both versions. So for this one, let's go ahead and I want to resize this. So I'm gonna go to edit and do free transform. At this point, I can go in and resize. I can rotate. So I can rotate. By using the corners, I can resize proportionately. Please make sure that you don't distort the images. It's kind of hard to do that in Photoshop now. Most of the times that happens if you put something in a PowerPoint, but make sure the images are not distorted. So I'm going to just kind of place her here. And I'm trying to think of what else I want to put in the image. It would be wise to leave a little bit of a border so that you're gonna have to put a background in, but just to make sure that your images aren't running off the edge of the page. So I'm gonna put that here. I also want to find an image of a jean jacket because I think I want to mix sort of the green and the denim. So I'm gonna look for a denim jacket image. If I could find one, some pieces. I think I just like the clean denim look on the background. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take another, well, let me show you how to drag this to the desktop. So if I want to just take this image, I should be able to just drag it to the desktop. Mm, I'm gonna just go ahead and take a screenshot of it. And if you're on a website that has Flash, you definitely would need to take a screenshot of it because that's actually like a moving image. So let's capture that. And again, I'm going back to my Photoshop document and I'm gonna do a file, place, embedded, and find my jean jacket, okay, and place. Okay, so I'm gonna hit enter. And I want to go in and erase my background. Now, usually, so here's my eraser tool here. Usually it won't let you directly edit. You have to convert the file and rasterize it. So raster images versus vector image, raster images are made up of tiny dots of color. So if I'm going to hit Command plus to zoom in. The more I zoom in, you can start to see tiny pixels of color. That's a raster-based image, okay? I can also do that here using the zoom tool. If I just keep clicking, it'll zoom all the way in until I just see pixels of color. Head to zoom out, I'm just gonna hit Command minus. Okay, so if I want to move my page around, I can click on this hand tool and move it around. And what I want to do is get rid of this white background that's behind the jacket. So making sure I'm on the jacket layer here, I'm gonna go to Layer, Rasterize, and choose Smart Object. I'm gonna also go ahead and do that to my picture layer, go to Layer, Rasterize, and choose Smart Object. Okay, so there's a couple different ways to cut out backgrounds. What I'm gonna do first is use the magic wand. So this is the easiest if you have a solid color background, because the magic wand will, whatever you make as your selection, when you click your mouse, it will try to select the same color pixels, and then you can then delete it. So I'm going to choose magic wand. I'm going to click on the background. Oh, I need to be on this layer. Make sure you're working on the right layer. So I'm going to choose magic wand. I'm gonna go and deselect because I was on the wrong layer. So I'm on the jacket layer now, and I'm gonna click on magic wand, and you can see my selection here. And it's picking up a little bit of the jacket where it's light. So I can actually go up here and adjust the tolerance. So if I adjust the tolerance maybe to about 25, I'm gonna deselect. The shortcut for deselecting is Command D or Control D. You can see the shortcut here. And I'm going to click it again, and I can see it's still picking up a little bit of the jacket, not too much. And I'm going to go ahead and just delete that. And then I want to hit Control D. If I don't, because I still see a selection, I'll know that it won't let me take any other actions. So I'm going to hit Command D. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Check out my selection and go ahead and delete. Okay, it has deleted that white background. I'm gonna hit Command D to deselect. I'm gonna do the same thing at the bottom. Okay, so I've selected. I'm gonna hit Control D. I'm sorry, Command D to deselect. Delete and deselect. Okay, so now I have just my jacket on my background image. Now to cut out Gwen's picture, this is going to be a little bit more difficult because I have a bunch of different colors and images in the back. So the best thing would be to isolate her and then to get rid of the background. So doing that, I could use the eraser tool. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. That ends up being a brush. So the type of brush is here. You can change the type of brush. The most important thing is changing the size. So I can change the size of the brush here using a sliding scale. and you can see what that brush looks like. So I'll need to make sure I'm on her layer because you'll have to toggle between layers. And I can go in and start erasing her. So I can make this a little bigger. And I can start erasing that background. This will take forever, and sometimes you're not able to get a nice fine cutout. So this is using the eraser. You can cut her out. What I would suggest is using the lasso tool. So we have 3 different types of lasso here. There's one hand-drawn lasso, there's one that's a polygon for shapes, and then there's a magnetic lasso. Regular lasso tool will allow me to start dragging a selection box around her, but you can see how if you don't have a steady hand, I'm gonna just do a quick one. Yeah, you can get a not so nice cutout. So I'm gonna just quickly, with the lasso tool, wherever you start, you have to kind of end. And the lasso tool, especially the magnetic one I show you, it can really get away from you. So I'm just doing a quick one, not one that's going to be accurate. And I want to end where I start, and then it'll highlight. So if I want to get rid of the background, I can go to select inverse. So that'll select what's outside of her, and then just hit delete. Okay, and it'll delete the background. Now I'm going to take a step back and another step back. Okay, and I'm going to deselect. So I'm going to go to select, deselect, so I can get rid of that selection. If I use the magnetic lasso, so let's start again. What's going to happen here is I'm going to click a point to start. And even if I pull away, it's going to start snapping to what it thinks I'm trying to select based on pixel information. So based on the color of the pixels. So you can see this is a little bit more accurate, but it can easily get away from you. Okay. So I'm just kind of moving around the edge. And if I feel like it's getting away from me, I'm just want to kind of click on the mouse. So I'm carefully going around. And because her dress is so bright, this is a good option for this. If my background and let's say the positive image that I'm trying to cut out, so the dress were similar, I would probably want to use the regular lasso tool or the magic wand to get a better selection. But this is actually working out pretty good. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect because I'll show you how. So you can see right there, it's going to cut a little bit of her dress off. We'll fix it. And with all these flower shapes, there's a lot of texture here. So I can see that it kind of got away from me a little bit. And again, you need to click right back on your starting point to make the selection a complete selection. So again, I'm going to choose select inverse and hit delete. Okay, so that's a pretty good cutout. So again, I want to deselect. So I'm going to hit Command D. And I want to zoom in. And I can see I have what we call a halo here. So I'm going to go in and use the eraser tool with a smaller brush to get rid of the background that was left so that I don't have a outline or a halo. It's easier to just do a little bit of erasing than to start with the eraser tool, but you can choose whatever approach works for you. Because the lasso tools can be a little bit intimidating. Okay, even if I take a little bit away from the dress, because sometimes you have shadows in there, that's fine. Just don't do a lazy cutout. Now, when we put this on an actual colored background, you sometimes will see things that you didn't see on the transparent background. And I have a little trick for that too. So we'll learn that in a second. Okay, I'm gonna just kind of trim some of her hair because there's a lot of shadow because it's light. Just try not to take chunks out. So let's say I did take a chunk out. I can go back in the history and just start again. Just click back once. Now the history does archive, so make sure you don't make too many mistakes before you fix them by going back in the history. Because after you take so many steps, it does archive. And you won't be able to go all the way back to the beginning. So again, just cleaning up. I could use a slightly smaller brush, but just want to get through this pretty quickly. Get rid of some of that shadow. And some of the edges will look like they're freshly cut, and we can blend them onto the background, so don't worry about that. That looks a little rough, so let's go back over that again. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of fake this little part because I think in my selection that got cut off. All right, so now we have our cutout here. And I don't like that the dress is in such big proportions. So I'm actually gonna go in and use the transform tool. So I'm gonna do edit, free transform, and I'm gonna just make her bigger, try not to distort. So I think I wanna make her pretty much the page size. When you're doing your mood board, it's just what inspired you. So honestly, less is more. I want the jacket to be behind her. So I'm gonna select this layer, drag it, and drop it underneath her. And then, let's see. Not exactly sure what else I want to put on my mood board. So this is the hard part, just making the design decisions. I don't like a lot of clutter on a mood board at all. So I think what I want to do next is go in and put my color, my Pantone stories in. I'm going to keep my mood board pretty plain. So what I'm going to do is go in and create a shape. So if I go in here, I'm going to choose circles, and I want a perfect circle. So I'm going to hold down the shift key, click my mouse and drag, and I'll get a perfect circle here. Okay, now I want the same circle and I need 5 to 6 colors from my mood board. So with it selected, because you can see that this ellipse is on its own layer, I'm gonna go to Layer, New, and choose Shape Layer via Copy. Okay, so it has made another one. So I'm gonna go to my Move tool and it will copy them right on top of each other. So there's a second one. I'm gonna do that again. Layer, New, Shape Layer via Copy. Okay, and Photoshop will help you, there's 5, help you to space these out evenly using the guidelines. Okay, so I'm gonna select all by holding down the Shift key, use the Move tool, and then I can set these up here. And what I'm gonna do is start airdropping from the picture. So I think I want just the denim and the green. So if I click on my foreground color, let's make sure I'm on the right ellipse. If I click on the eye, it'll show me what's the thing will disappear that is on that layer. So I want to start here, and you can either click on the foreground color here or on the actual shape layer. I can double click here and the color picker will pop up. And what I'm gonna do is just eyedrop from my picture, and that I can go in and find the Pantone code. So this will show me the color here, and this is what the current color is until I okay the change. If I go to add to swatches, I can name the color. This is not necessary, but I just want to show you while we're in here. And then I can go to color libraries and find, make sure this says Pantone solid coded. It will highlight the actual Pantone code. So I'm going to write that one down. Is 375C, and click OK. And so it has changed this one. Now to go in and type my text, I have choices here of text. And if I click on the text tool, you can see up top, it's showing my different font options, my size, the appearance, text wrapping, changing the color again, and then paragraph options. So I'm going to click, and that will also create a new layer if you look over here on the right. And I'm going to put my Pantone code in. So that's 375C. I do not like this font, so I'm going to highlight it. And if I go to font, I can kind of scroll through each one until I find one that works with the aesthetics of my image. I think I actually like that one. I think we'll do Avenir. Okay, and then I can go ahead and change the size. And I can use the move tool to actually move it. With the move tool, if I want to use small movements, I'm actually just moving using my arrow key. Okay, so I'm going to do the color one more time. So if I click on this next layer for the ellipse, I can double click on the color picker, and let's find, there's a bunch of different blues in here. So let's find, I like that grayish color. Find my Pantone. Click OK. I'm going to do the next one. Okay. Oh, wait, I didn't get the Pantone code for that one. Let's see if we can get this little. Yeah, I'm not sure if I even like that color. I know I like the kind of like the peachy skin color. Let's see about the lipstick. That's too pink. Kind of like that color with this mood. So make sure your mood board colors actually go together. I think I like that one. So let's go to color libraries and the peach is 7590. And then I think I want sort of an off-whitish color, maybe, or a cream neutral. I'm not sure. Or maybe we can find a better blue. Maybe a darker. Oh yeah, darker blue would be better. Okay. Okay. 5, 3. Let's see. Okay, let's click OK. Okay, so I would go back in and write all of these Pantone codes in here, again, using the text tool. So what I want to do now, I think, is go ahead and put in my background. So I'm going to go to layer and we're going to do new fill layer. And I'm going to choose solid color and it's going to pop up in the front. So don't be alarmed. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm not choosing a color right now. Okay. So it showed up here and it's in front of all of these. So it has hidden everything else. So right now I'm going to click OK for the black. And I'm going to click that layer and drag it all the way down to the bottom here. Okay, so I'm going to double click here for my color picker. And so with this black layer, I can see things that I probably still need to cut out. And I can blend around Gwen because she's looking very sharp. And same thing with the jacket. And I got some little pieces here that Magic Wand didn't pick up. So sometimes it is good to put a very dark color in there so you can just check your cutout. So I think I want to go in and do maybe a lighter version of this neutral. Maybe not white. Using white and black either kills a color or just makes the page look a little bit too bright. So I think I'm going to just kind of try to use colors throughout. That's not so bad. I think I kind of like this. And just look at how your other colors are reacting to that color. So when you use colors throughout though, it helps to provide some harmony for your actual image. Maybe a little bit lighter. I think that works for me. Okay, so I'm gonna click OK. And I'm gonna zoom in because I do remember seeing just some little spots. So with the eraser tool, I'm gonna click back on my jacket layer and get rid of that little spot here. There was some white left up here. And another little spot here. And what I'm gonna do is use the blur tool for Gwen. So, and to go around the jacket. So I want a really small brush because this will actually blur your image and you don't want it to look distorted. So I'm gonna zoom in because this will be kind of hard to see. So the image just looks very cut out right here. So if I go around just the very edge of it, you should be able to see it soften up a little bit. And here I actually need to, let me make sure I'm on her image. That's what it's not doing. So again, make sure you select that layer. So I'm going back to the blur tool, using my small brush, and I'm just gonna lightly rub around it. You can see that starting to blur. And I could go in and delete those little shadows, but it actually will make it look a tiny bit more realistic if you have a little bit of shadow, kind of like she's not floating. So again, I'm blurring her into that background just so she doesn't look freshly cut out. So I'm gonna just quickly go around this again. Not too much of a blur and not too big of a brush. Let's see if you can kind of tell the difference. This definitely looks better here on this side than this side. Okay, so I would want to go around the entire image. And the next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and give this a title. And I don't know what to call it. So let's maybe I name that electric. This is always the hardest part for me. So maybe we'll call it electric. And I use the Avenir, and it may not be a good idea for me to use the same font. I don't know. For some contrast, let's see. Go back to my text tool. Let's see, maybe I can get something that's a little bit more shocking. But again, I want it to go with the aesthetic of my mood board. You know, kind of like one in here that I did like. And this is giving me an idea to add something else. Let's see. Let me just go with this one. This is a lot. Okay, so again, I'm gonna move it. Maybe I do want this to be, I'll make sure I'm on the right layer. A tiny bit bigger. I can, so I think that's too big. Go in and type the size that I want. And I think I kind of want a floral image in here because I do like these flowers. And maybe that's what I like that I feel like this is missing. I could also put like a border on this. So let's say I want to use the line tool. Easier to do in Illustrator, but I'm going to show you how to do it in here. In the shapes. So if I use the line tool, just to try to guide your eye, because there's so much empty space in this, I can go in and create a line here to create a border. And then so I can choose the width of the line, the color it's filled with, so I can actually go in and let's see. You can see my colors that I've used in the document. I could eyedrop one of those. Let's see if I use that color. And stroke is how wide the line is. And let's see if I can do another one here. Still looks black for me. Click OK. Just looks really dark to me. Okay, so let's do another one here. Let me go to the background and then see if we can do another one. So I'm going to click and drag another line here. Mm. So that's my line 2. Doesn't have as thick a weight. Color's different. Okay, so I can make a border on this. It's a little bit closer to her head, but I can always go in and do the shortcut for the transformation tool for transform and hit Command T or Control T, and I can actually make her a little smaller here. Just trying to fill in some of that space. And I would probably want to move the jacket down just a tiny bit. And I think I want to bring in a picture of a flower. So if I search for I want a flower line drawing. Nothing here really grabbing me. Maybe this line is kind of cool. Let's take a screenshot of that. I'm gonna go back and do a file, place. Choose that flower, place it, and hit enter. And again, I need to rasterize it. So I'm gonna go to layer, rasterize, choose smart object. And I should be able to go in with magic wand because this is black and white and click on that background, hit delete, click on all of these positive spaces, just clicking with my mouse and hitting delete. Make sure I hit Control D to deselect. And I think I want this kind of like as a weird overlay or something. Let's see. Just looks too clean to me. Let's do Control T to transform. I think I can kind of maybe I want to put it behind the jacket. Or I could put it, let's go take a step back. I could change the opacity on it. So if I look here, I can go to opacity and I can kind of lighten it. which I think I like that better. And I'm gonna move it in the corner here. And I'm gonna copy that. So I'm gonna do layer, new layer via copy. So now I have two. And I can transform this. So I'm gonna go to edit, transform. Let's free transform. And I think I want maybe this to be a little bit bigger. And I'm going to flip this one. So I'm going to hit enter. And let's go to edit, transform. And I'm going to rotate this. So you can rotate 180, rotate 90, rotate counterclockwise, flip horizontal, flip vertical. I think what I'm going to do is flip vertical. Maybe not. Let's flip horizontal. There we go. And then I'm going to move it. And I think I'm going to place this one behind her. Maybe I like that one behind too. Yeah, I think I just needed some confusion in the background. Background's just looking way too plain. Okay, so let's see. Maybe I can move this to kind of frame the corner. Okay, and then not sure if I like this thing coming through here in front of my color story. I can erase that if I'm on the right layer. I don't hate it, but it's a little hard to read. So I can use the regular marquee tool here, and it will only, whatever I select, it'll just delete what's on that layer. So I can just delete it, and make sure you hit Control D to deselect. If I did want to erase it, I just go to the eraser tool and choose my brush size. And I could just erase it. I think I just don't want it going through the text. Okay. So there's my mood board. The only thing I didn't finish was to just put the rest of my Pantone codes in. I'm gonna go ahead and save this. So always save a working file. So I'm gonna do a save as, and we'll do save as, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save this to my computer. And here I wanna save as a Photoshop document. So that means when I come back in here, I'll have all my layers. So let's say I want to take off that border because right now it's killing me. I'll have all my layers and I can save it. Once I save this in a compressed format, so if I save it as a PDF, different forms of JPEG, a TIFF is a really large file, but that will also save just your layers. You won't be able to go back and edit certain things. So it will treat it as a flattened layer. So I'm going to go ahead and save it, save one version as a Photoshop document. And then my version that I'm turning in for grade, I'm going to do file save as, and I'm going to save that as a PDF. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save. Okay, and then there's my mood board.